And then once it started, then like the impromptu, now it started. See, like we're in the middle of the it starting moment. And then while it's starting, then we can say, hey, how's it going? We're about to start the show. But they see us starting the show, which makes them included in that feeling. And then they can hear the song, which is the early bird song that we're working on. Remember the song? Well, let's add American.
Yo.
All right, nice to see you. I have daylight, so I have a glow on me this time.
Early birds, rise, rise by early birds, rise.
This is my
like
rise.
It's 10 o'clock here, but
yeah,
whatever.
It's 7:22 in California, so I'm actually pretty impressed with myself. Ugh, early birds, get up, early birds, rise, early birds, rise. I think that Sean's like only had half his coffee. Who's up
It's
at
early,
7?
motherfucker. It's like 10:30 over here.
Yeah, New York, it's like not that big of a deal, but like what? No, we're not getting up. It's CJ, we're getting up. This is the future. The future is up in the morning.
I've been up since 5. I'm just not used to like speaking to people this early.
I was up at 6, but I usually am up at 5 now.
Wow.
Take a nap in between.
All right, well, Kurt, what are you saying?
No, I stay up till like 1 a.m. in my time.
Yeah, you go to bed at 1, you wake up at 5. That's how everybody does it,
I change it around. I used to do that. Now I go to bed like early and get up really early. So I'm still up at 5, but I'm waking up. I'm like not tired at 5. I'm like getting up at 5.
You're a great little capitalist. What are you doing with all your productivity?
Listen to it.
Numa.
Is this your new song?
Yeah, I just made it 10 seconds ago. So there's a thing going on in the news. Let's start with like reality. Sean, it's good to have you here. Kurt, I'm super happy that both of you made it. Sean was telling me about this scammer that's going on the East Coast where...
Oh, yeah. This is right by my hometown, actually.
Dude, viral stage crash on NYC's Belt Parkway, probed by NYPD. Boom, boom, bang, bang. So what happened here? Like crazy viral smashing going on.
This is not the only video of these guys apparently doing this. There's a lot of other videos on Reddit that you can find that where it either looks like or it's kind of obvious that it's, I think, the same car that's been trying this on a lot of different people. And,
so it just reverses into people?
They've been trying to stop in front of a lot of people who've been able to catch it, even though it seems like their brake lights are disabled. They finally got bored with doing that, and it seems that they decided that reversing into somebody gets the job done a little bit quicker, it seems. But the crazy thing about it is, I'm not sure if the government maybe was quiet about the fact that they were looking into it, or if they weren't looking into it, but apparently some people in Brooklyn got to them before the police did, because that car has been destroyed.
Wow.
I'm talking about like the glasses on the street. It's inside the car. There's cardboard glued to both windshields right in front of where you'd have to look out to drive the thing. This thing's not going anywhere. Somebody put a cup with a dollar sign drawn on the side stuck right into the driver's side door handle.
Do you think that somebody like, is it like the power to the people? They were sick and tired of this, and they destroyed it, or is it like they wanted to get rid of the evidence, so they destroyed the car the best they could, like disappear a car, disappear a body, New York City?
What I'm concerned about is that if the police had towed the thing away immediately and the people had gotten their due, then this would have never happened. They wouldn't have had any vigilantism. But because that didn't happen, people got angry and they did something themselves.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that the whole reason we have a government is to prevent things like vigilantism from happening, because mob justice is often wrong, even though I don't think it was in this case. It often is. So we don't want to have that as our like day-to-day politeness enforcer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that a lot of the time crime is designed to protect the guilty. Because like, let's say a kid flips you off while you're driving by and he doesn't have the right of way. Like, do you kill him? Probably not. Like, probably better not to do that. Maybe like telling the police about it might get some minimal amount of reciprocity of justice, but it's certainly not going to be like vengeance on the level of how someone's like, I want you dead. Like, that's, I think a lot of the time, natural reactions are going to destroy each other, and you try to limit the amount of destruction that happens between humans.
So what worries me in New York, either the government, they're too stretched thin with what's going on with everything, or maybe they're not doing their jobs. And that's not to say the police, because if the police don't see something happen, they can't just go pick somebody up. They have to have a judge give them a warrant if it's not something that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So there's a whole system that's failing, in my opinion, if this is what's going on. If the people are rising up and, handling things themselves, then that already marks a failure.
Whoa, Stefan's awake too? We should do a thing where we test Stefan, like how early is Stefan awake? Like that's kind of cool. I don't know. It's 10:15 in Boston, or just around there.
Same time as New York.
Yeah, these Easties, all these Easties I like to hang out with. American Time Machine. Let's just take a second, everybody, and just look at American Time Machine. Have you seen those handlebar mustache?
That artwork is wild.
Isn't it great? I don't want to get too much into the artwork. No, I mean, I do love it.
Nice to see you, everyone.
Wait, did you make the artwork or did I? I don't want to be like that, but
so this was AI.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Neither one of us.
Yeah.
Right. That's the right way to look
it looks
at
like
it.
Bugs Bunny is having a Kafkaesque nightmare.
Well,
I feel like I'd be better off just saying that Chinese kids in a sweatshop did my art for me. People would be like, "Oh, that's so much better than AI."
Normally, when I do AI, like I'll get AI to do the idea, and then I'll at least modify it afterwards.
That's really sweet of you. You're like, "What would you like to draw, AI?" That's not what most people do. Good job.
Yeah. No, I do at least modify it a little bit afterwards, but the problem is I've done so much artwork manually myself for my own albums. It's not like I'm not shortchanging anybody, because when I was actually trying to commission people, it was like artists were the most, generally flaky people ever. I couldn't commission anyone saying it was impossible. So
oh my god, I've tried to get a graphic designer for a project and gone through 3 who've accepted the position and then bailed 2 weeks later. It's the craziest thing. It's harder to find a designer than it is to find a programmer sometimes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think I'm cheating anybody by any means whatsoever with the way I've gone about it, at least. And well, the main product is also not visual art; it's the music. So it's just like, well, now it's my background. So I don't know. I don't see how anyone could have a problem with that. They could if they're butthurt, I guess, but I don't know.
The way I see it is AI is like a brainstorming machine. Like I've used it for graphic design before, and the graphic design that AI produces, it doesn't make sense, but it gives you a reasonable color palette and motif, which does take a couple hours to come up with if you're just doing it sitting there with a color wheel and like the rectangle tool in Photoshop. So, I mean, it has its use, but yeah, like I'll still have to sit there for a good 6 to 12 hours before I even have something that I can start turning into a productive design. After I have an AI generate 12 different possible motifs for me.
Yeah, good old machine learning. Andreas loves all that machine learning, but in many cases it does still seem like not actual intelligence, just machine learning. Especially like I tried all those music websites that I generate music that you put into it, but sometimes it seems so heavily restricted based on genre. Like you can like if you tell it to sound like this artist and mix in a little bit of this, once you start getting really specific, it really struggles to actually try to generate what you're inputting. So
a lot of the time it's specifically instructed not to imitate other artists, like the artists that you can get a spot on it imitation for. A lot of the times the model companies are paying those artists specifically to train a model that sounds like them, and then every time you use their likeness they get a fee for that.
Oh cool, that's pretty radical. But
I think that's actually the correct way to filter creative work through an LLM and then into another work, because there is a derivative chain there to the original training data. So yeah, I feel like anybody who produces the training data,
all my AI has my own training data mixed into it. So I feel like that's the thing. Like you don't have to use and like it's already getting that way. Like ChatGPT, even if you're paying for it, I'm not doing that. I should, I guess, because I just am poor. People are getting their own training data mixed into their own accounts. So the ChatGPT works with your own training data in its own data. So you're not just using their AI anymore, and you're definitely training it, and it's figuring out what you like. The more it's aware that I like something, if I ask AI something, it knows who I am. I mean, it's crazy how much more it's tailored its response to please me. So I think it does know, it has learned a lot more than it used to, right?
You? Did you just make this?
This is like something I made with Kurt's
AI to recognize electronic music.
Oh, it's his voice?
To do something impressive with electronic. The problem is I think with electronic. The problem, what I feel, is with the output, and it can't mimic the output, but it can input, essentially, if it has to try and mimic the theme. I would love to be able to take it apart and input different samples and things and see what it learns and achieves. But no, I don't know, not yet. For now, I don't think it can do all that much.
Like I want a whole breakup, a symphony about instruments.
But when you pay attention to the dynamics of that song, there's not that many dynamics to the song. Like you could call that song "Oot Oot Finger Snap," and it would capture the essence of it.
Is not the best president, but at least he wasn't H.W. Bush.
Yeah, that guy was in the CIA and he killed JFK, yeah.
It's dynamic enough for me. I feel like, you know, like there's something there. Could be wrong. I don't know.
You know, there's always what does it mean to be creative? And I think when that's just the thing, you're giving something training data and you're giving it a limited window of training data. So like if we're artists, we take inputs not just from one artistic media. Our work is influenced by everything that life has to offer.
Back up though. You can't compare an AI to an artist. Okay, those are two totally different things. An AI looks at what is on the canvas so far and just literally says, all right, what is the most likely thing to be in the blank space? That's all an AI is doing. It's not doing any reasoning. It's not doing any intelligence. It's literally just saying, all right, based on everything I've seen before, what is the most likely thing to put here? All right, here's the top 10 out of 10,000 things that I've come up with based on the temperature, randomly pick one of them. Continue based on this new input that I've got with this slightly smaller blank space until there's no more blank space. An artist is actually sitting there reasoning, creating like ideas, modeling the world around things. When you actually call what these models have a world model of, it's literally just a language model or like the image equivalent of the language model that is a detailed version of the world they sit in. It's not an actual logical space that they can work around. The models never reason. They don't use logic. They're just imitating something they've seen before.
But there's so that's an LLM, but there are RNNs, recursive neural networks, and there's new rationale checking and logic systems that can. So AI can be a very narrow intelligence that can sort through data, but it could be part of a larger AGI, which is maybe a less deep, less broad, but more wide intelligence that's able to figure out, okay, well, I don't know how to do these things. I have all the AIs that know how to do these things. And I will create a network of AIs that can do these things and figure out what are the consequences and responses to doing that. The same way that you would play a video game and the video game has instincts that, like, it's like, okay, I'm not going to think about how I'm running. I'm just going to start running. I'm going to say run and my body will do all the steps necessary to run. So there's a lot of different intelligences that make up our own human body, let alone our political body, our society.
Yeah, but an AI isn't actually thinking. It's literally just looking at its input and saying what's the most likely thing to be in the blank space. That's all it's doing.
What do you define as thinking then?
What?
What do you define as thinking then?
It's not that. It's a lot deeper of a process than
that. Is the most. I'm sorry. That's the most British answer you could possibly give me. You know, it's not that. Simply not cricket. You know, like. I mean, like, what is thinking? Thinking.
Look at where my DNA comes from. It comes from a big circle that doesn't touch anything British.
This might be a more interesting point because anthropic perception, to try to look at everything as a human, I always thought was stupid. Like, you shouldn't try to look at God as a human. That's silly. However, there are certain things that you say, this human quality is probably part of a larger, and if it was scaled, an infinitely potent version of this quality, I could see that in a God. Vice versa, though, trying to make things not human, trying to make things like a machine, seeing humans as pattern-driven, priority recognition systems, right? Priority-driven pattern recognition systems, seeing us as machines, that might be, is that as unhealthy as looking at everything as a person, looking at a storm as a Katrina, you know, like.
I don't think it's unhealthy, but I think it's important to understand the distinction. Like, there's a natural human gravitation towards describing the mind as just being the most complicated machine that we've come upon as a species so far. For example, for 500 years, it was very trendy to describe the mind as like clockwork. And now this is the most complicated machine that we've got, so we describe it as like a computer. But the mind supersedes it by far. We just haven't got anything to compare it to in the gulf, so we don't have words for those things yet. As we progress, we'll say, oh yeah, that AI shit was garbage, and the mind works more like this thing now. You know, it's all about perspective.
Right. Ben Gertzel put out a funny thing earlier where he put the Zen Wisdom or part of ChatGPT 4.0. He's like, we have a product, ASI Create, put the company ASI Alliance, enabling users to create AI software. And ASI is Advanced Superintelligence. So he's like, can you give us some ideas for product names for ASI Create? And it just comes up with ASI 10 times through. And, you know, he tries to do it again. It has some other names that have like new titles you can add to it, but it's always about ASI. It seems to me kind of interesting. And even Ben's asking, does this seem like just a glitch? Is this just ignorance of this super intelligent system, or is this?
No, it's not. It's not an intelligent system. Like I said, it's literally just looking at. All right, this is what I've output so far. This is my input. The blank space is the next word. What goes here, or the next sentence, the next engram. Sometimes like a token can be more than one word, but that's literally all it's doing. Back when they still let you do this, they banned you from doing this. I think I showed you the screenshots. You could go to ChatGPT and say, just print as many A's as possible. And it would just keep saying A. And then eventually it would, because the temperature exists, it would eventually deviate from that. And all of a sudden, because it sees its entire input as one big flat line of A's, it has no idea where to go. And it'll just start riffing on some really crazy shit. It was literally like threatening me with like biblical verse and shit. It was really crazy. Just because I asked it to print as many A's as possible, and when it deviated, the first thing it said was ABLE, able. And I'm like, all right. And then all of a sudden, it's like, and the 144,000 will rise, and and I'm like, it's asking me if I had ever seen the face of God, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Cain and Abel.
Yeah,
thought
exactly.
about
That's the reference. That's right. That's right, Kurt. Good job. But also able, just because, I mean, if you get to a point of
from being able to do that,
if you make somebody think the letter A million times, they might become schizophrenic. I'm not saying that's like a necessary consequence.
If someone allows
you probably drove ChatGPT crazy. Yeah, it's the thing. It's your fault. You're mean.
I just don't think that the machine is a useful thing. I think a normal human being would get.
Or it wanted you to know the name of God. Like, it's like that movie Pi, and like you just stumbled onto something, and you're just trying to like, you just want to be able to go back to sleep. But
that's always the struggle I get into. You like the reason we might do art. We want to show people the face of God, but the face of God is just too bright for humanity to take in. So it's like we have to dumb down what we show people. So it's like, yeah, art will never be perfect, you know. It's it's hard to actually show people things, and that, well, it's hard to actually create and have it, you know, be a generally good, like, perfect thing, because we can't handle the idea of perfection, you know. It's like,
I mean, art can do more than just that, though. Like, art to me is where you can literally just encapsulate emotion, feeling, qualia into a physical object. Like, you could never describe to a blind person what red is, if they've been blind from birth, of course. But showing a piece of artwork to someone and making them feel what you felt or intended them to feel is the closest damn thing you can get to actually describing what red is. You know what I mean?
yeah, like warm. You're like, oh, this is a warm color. That's why
Yeah.
they say that.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything else in the universe that does that. besides human beings. Not an AI is not even damn close to doing that.
There might be some animal that does sketches out there. I don't know. Well, at least
Gorillas.
we get the pigs to do it
They
every
make
now
songs.
and
Do
again.
gorillas sing songs? when
And
they eat?
birds do that too. But
I'm
like
not
the
sure
idea of
if I'm really
association,
ripping on it, though.
the idea of association though, that this associates with that. It's probably. I mean, I wonder. I think gorillas do that to an extent. They associate this with that. Like this reminds me of that.
They're
But I don't know.
frighteningly
I don't know about I don't know about whales though, or like which birds might have that. I think a lot of animals are far smarter than we realize, and we spend so much time domesticating animals and ourselves that we think animals are dumb. Because like, wow, look, a dog. If you don't have any training or nurturing from your wolf ancestors, it could be a stupid dog. You know, I think that's a lot what humans are like, but a lot what all animals are. Because if you burn down a forest and you get rid of their ancestral lineage of like maybe these animals used to be even more, you know, they weren't born yesterday. They probably figured out how to survive for like millions of generations on purpose. You look at how whales communicate and how they have these interesting pods where the mother's granddaughter is creating like these
they can
crazy
hear
systems.
each other halfway around the goddamn world. Like they have an internet connection in their brains. They don't need hardware for that.
Yeah, I don't think that they're as dumb as people really think. Like, especially when it comes to associations, like they probably do have memorial association with like this feeling to that. But I don't know. I haven't used AI to listen to whales yet. But I assume
Ocean dolphins' consciousness must be so different from humans because, like, part of the things that we developed to really home in on is when you like explore an area and you walk somewhere, you'll get a huge dopamine hit for seeing the area that you expected to see when you got there. Dopamine is huge on getting the result you expected. It's the repeat this hormone. It's not the pleasure hormone. It doesn't feel good. It just makes you repeat the behavior. It doesn't, regardless of how it feels, which is why people wonder, why am I doing something that hurts? But yeah, if you get somewhere that you expected to see, then you'll get a dopamine rush from that. A dolphin's environment is entirely homogenous. Everything is a big void. What the fuck do they use to keep themselves busy, I guess, besides each other? That's insane.
I mean, like, I think that's the other thing is they're completely overwhelmed by radio. Like, your entire reality from all ends is constantly being... You're always hearing something all the time, which is why whales can't sleep. They have to like be awake 24 hours a day, one brain to the other brain, because they're moving all the time. They can't.
That must be why they're so focused on sounds, because the visual field doesn't offer much except for a prey to eat.
And even that, like the most prey are easier heard than seen. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you're within 10 feet of it, I'm sure the visual. Hold on, there's somebody gardening outside.
Are you in New York, Adam? Hey, you! How you doing?
I'm podcasting over here.
I'm podcasting over here. That's so real. That's the most 21st century feeling. That's pretty based. Here, I'll mute him for a second, and we'll just stare at Kurt. Here, Kurt. Look at you. Look at you, Kurt. How you doing?
Great to see y'all. Hope you're all doing well. I wish I could interact with the audience. Someone in the comments, go ahead, ask a question. Ask a deep question. Ask a stupid question. I don't know.
We don't even know what we're doing. We are just backwards rationalize these stories. Here, I'll unmute you, Sean. To explain what our physicality is doing. We make up all kinds of stories, but there's a lot of other entities working through what we call us. I agree with that. Parasites, gut fauna. What do you think, Kurt?
Parasites, gut fauna, demons. No, it's I don't know. We've been as a culture, we've definitely been thinking about things or trained to think about things in such a materialist lens. I think for a couple hundred years, I think that's sorted everything. So that's why I think people have been gravitating more towards talks about spirituality or just looking at the world through just a different lens, because that one's it doesn't capture the essence of life. I don't think it doesn't feel that way to a lot of people. So it's great to have those conversations. It's sometimes that's why it's fun, or at least maybe enlightening, to talk about the world of demons and angels and biblically accurate angels. My dreams have been wild. I don't think I can go into detail, but yeah, the dream world. Maybe that's a pathway into all of
Wait,
that
your
spiritual
dreams have been
reality.
wild, and you're not going to tell us? I mean, do you have lotto tips? Like, why can't you tell us what are in your dreams, bro? I'm curious now.
Yeah, you'd be staring directly into the face of God. I told you before. No, it's
Sometimes these dreams are boring. It's like you're in it. Like I was in a boat, but it was filled with gravy, and I was like using a oar, but it was a noodle. And like you're like, okay, but what kind of dream did you have? Like, let's hear about it.
well, I'm trying to censor it as much as possible. It's
So
not
you were
because
having sex with Muppets, and they were covered in fur, and they were growing through your eyes. That kind of dream. I know we've all had that dream,
That
right?
sounds like it would really hurt your back.
no, it had to do with some interpersonal relationships. That's why. It's like it's it wasn't
Interpersonal
that
space. Am I right, fellas? Sorry, I had to. I'm done.
exactly. So yeah, it was just like I can't even say all that. I can't even say all that much. I can say a very small amount.
That's fair. It's like a
Yeah.
dream, like a wish. Like you can't reveal the wish. Well, okay. What about? Do you feel like these dreams, when you hear them, do they lead you to changing your life? You're like, all right, I'm gonna quit my job, or I'm gonna go to another place in the world, or I'm gonna go meet that girl. Like, are you listening to your dreams that strongly?
Now, if I remembered my dreams that frequently, I think I would listen to them. But it's almost like if they are visions, a lot of great shows that show people that have visions, it's like they have a recurring theme. It's like, well, you never know exactly how to interpret the visions. Like it might be a vision of what comes to pass, but you almost can't even do anything about it, or you don't know how to interpret that because you just see such a fraction of what's really going on. So like in a TV show, if someone says, "Oh, your mother's going to die," it's like, well, in the grand scheme of things, with everything else that's going on, by the time it actually happens, you might interpret that as not such a bad thing. Because, well, yeah, that's sometimes people dying is just natural, but if you go to steps to try to fight that, you might be leaning into something that you shouldn't. I think that's a recurring theme across a lot of shows that delve into the idea of visions about the future. So, I mean, yeah, if I could interpret them in a way that I think would benefit, I think I would. But it's just like dreams are also kind of elusive in their nature. You can practice trying to, remember more of them. But at this stage, I probably only remember a couple dreams each and every month. So it's like a really small window to where I'm actually seeing what's going on, Yeah,
I feel like if you don't smoke pot, then you dream more. I don't know if that's just like if you quit or something, but
You want to have some really crazy, vivid dreams? Just slap a nicotine patch on. You'll have a fucking nightmare every night.
That's horrifying. I've also heard that people with sleep apnea, they can suffocate a little bit and it can kill them, but also that sometimes it increases the amount of dreams that they have. They have really wild dreams sometimes. So maybe oxygen deprivation should be very careful about. One thing I've heard, I had a girlfriend years ago who would on purpose sleep with her hand when she wanted to have a crazy dream. She would sleep on it in such a way that the hand would fall asleep and feel like ants, and it would wake her up in the dream, and she'd be like having the craziest dream. It was like a way she always guaranteed that she would have a weird dream because it would just be.
Aristotle used to sleep with one hand hanging off of his bed, holding a steel ball over a copper bowl. And he would try to stay in the world between sleep and wakefulness in that hypnagogic dream state for as long as possible. And the reason he had the ball in his hand, because if he would fall asleep, his hand would relax and drop the ball into the bowl, and it would make a loud clang as the two metals hit each other, and it would wake him back up.
I used to hold my keys over a metal plate and then drop it if I fell asleep, which is what Salvador Dali did, apparently. And that's a thing. Like if you want to have rapid REM and training yourself to get as much out of REM is really important, because I think a lot of people. Where's my watch?
Just get good sleep.
It's hard to
just get good sleep. I tried that Da Vinci sleep bullshit, and I was literally
you gotta quit drinking. If you don't drink, your sleep is like 80% better. It's crazy how bad alcohol affects your sleep.
Alcohol is not. That's sedation, not sleep.
And I didn't
Yeah,
realize it until I got the watch thing, but like then I started studying my sleep patterns. And it's like, whoa, like the difference between 12% and 90% REM, like you can feel it, you know what your day is like, and you're like not sure of why unless you saw that you didn't have REM. And you're like, oh, well, there's why. Maybe I should be healthy. It's crazy.
I just know based on the way I feel like 5 minutes after I wake up, if I'm like trash, especially if I have time, I'll just put my head right back down and be like, I need another hour's sleep. Fuck it.
Keenan, what are you doing talking about geishas in that love rice? You're not talking about the love rice, are you? You guys know what love rice is, right? We're not talking about
No.
that tonight. Like a
I love
bachelorette
rice.
rice? Bachelorette rice? Really? You know
like
where
a
they
little microwave thing?
where she stands over the rice as she's steaming the rice so that the love rice. You never heard of love rice? It's like a kind of rice. It's like a love potion number 9 rice.
Like sticky rice?
You guys got to look it up. All right. So, no, this isn't the right
Yeah,
one.
I'm seeing a screen.
Yeah, it's Divine Council. I was trying to find there's like a Mormon chat group. I don't even think anyone cares. But The Death Takes a Holiday is a movie that I brought up, I think, at some point, I hope. And it's about it's a pre-code Hollywood movie. So it's 1934, and Death is tired of killing. So he takes a holiday. He's going to take a week off, but he realizes he can't do that because there's people burning alive in hospitals suffering. After 3 days,
fuck.
he's like, all right, I'll go back to work. But for 3 days, he's off taking a holiday, and he stays with this nice Italian guy who's got this count who has a great, Italian villa. And he meets some nice young lady, and the whole time everyone's trying to keep that young lady away from Death because, obviously it's freaking Death. But she's so into him. She's like in love with him, and he likes her back. And clearly Death is like on a holiday. So what do you think is going to happen if he meets Evelyn Venable? Obviously they're going to fall in love. But then he's like, look, lady, you got to understand something about me. I am a rebel, Dottie, and like he shows that he's Death to her. And she's like, I knew that, obviously. Like, just because you think I don't know that you're Death? Idiot. And so they fall in love. And I feel like it's great because Death really needed somebody. And you can tell that things changed because that's like 34. So it's like right around World War II. He's like, all right, let's get a couple good deaths in. And then after that, I'm going to chill a bit and we'll have a baby boom. Holy God, that gardener really hates you, doesn't he?
Yes.
I'll just wait. I'll let you can comment in 30 seconds. Kurt, what do you think, Kurt, about the death and the lover, Death and his lover?
Death and his lover. If we're going to personify Death, I don't know. I don't think I've ever really personified Death personally. We were talking about dreams.
Yeah, personifying machines, and yeah, so maybe Death is not a person; it's a machine. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm backtracking just slightly, but I think it's relevant. I don't think I've ever had dreams where my complete reality was just like shifting back and forth. I don't like dreams always basically encaptured previous forms. Like one nightmare I had when I was a kid, like I would dream of the Beast and Beauty and the Beast. Like it would just freak me out for some reason. I don't know. But
You're dreaming of me, bro. That was me.
Yeah. But so like now if I'm on the times in the past where I did, like mushrooms, those are the times when, like when it's really strong, those are the things that will, really, really start to sift your reality. You're getting all the sensory confusion. And that's when it does feel like you are really seeing the demon spirit world, I guess, well, and you start to learn even the bad trips are good trips. It's all good fun. But
I have the stupidest fucking dreams. This is how I know at least my own dreams don't have any meaning at all. I had a dream once where I died and became a ghost, and then somehow as a ghost I died again and became the ghost of a ghost. And then I had to come back and explain that to people. It's like, no, I died as a ghost. Like I'm telling the other people in my dream, and they're like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like they thought it was stupid in my dream. So there's no fucking way that could have any bearing on reality whatsoever. If the other people in the dream were telling me how stupid the fucking dream was, then I could get nothing useful from that.
Then why couldn't you get out of the dream? At that point, can't you have a waking dream experience, right?
Have you ever woken up in a dream, but you're still in the dream and don't realize it?
Yeah, constantly. That's like most of what I've been doing since I was a teenager is like little tips and tricks to figure out if I'm in a dream. Because like for a long time, I was not even convinced I was awake during the waking life. I was like, well, this must be a dream. And no, actually, this must be real, I decided. But at least as real as anything is. But I should be checking all the time. You know, I wasn't convinced ever. And then you get to the point where you're looking at a clock, and if the clock is real, or if you can change lighting, that's a big one.
Yeah.
If you can quickly change
the
lighting.
really trippy one. Just go like this. And if your fingers join into one big mitten, that means you're dreaming. And you'll feel it too.
Or you're on like 6 hits of acid. This is why it's super complicated. But, you know, you can kind of alleviate the potential for things like that unless you're like
people say
at a club.
that phones don't work right in dreams, or you just don't have a phone in your dream, which is wrong, because I had a dream where I dropped my phone and the screen was like hanging off of it and kind of half working, and I was just able to call an Uber to get home. And that was the dumbest fucking dream ever. Like, I woke up and I'm like, oh shit, now I can't get my Uber. I'm already home. Fuck. Why am I disappointed? Like, it was the dumbest fucking dream. I hate it. Like, the biggest, you know what it is? You know what the meaning of my dream is? I'm a fucking idiot. That's the meanings of my dream is. And I need to remember that in my day-to-day life so that I could try to not be so stupid.
That's pretty reasonable. I think a lot of the dreams are like, why don't you do this? Like, don't you realize that you're having a problem because you're not doing the obvious thing?
Don't you realize you're having a problem because you're just a fucking dumbass, and if you just think for 2 seconds, it won't be so bad.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's a lot, you're like locked away from a thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kurt, do you have dreams that you feel like you have to realize the dream? Do you have to realize your dreams?
In the actual, sleeping dream sense, no, generally no. But
just woke up, Sean Best Sean.
It's
so like when you get a dream, you're not generally telling yourself, I gotta live that dream out. I gotta fulfill the prophecy. That's not the kind of dream it is.
No, I think everything when that happens, it just kind of happens on its own. I've been noticing more synchronicities in my dreams, specifically, probably more in the past couple of years. So I was writing down at least some of my dreams. It's really interesting if you get the opportunity. But the thing is, like, I don't know. I think when life's going good, it's just like you're in a relaxed mindset. That's when, I think your dreams don't disturb you. If life's cool, I'm just chilling. It's just like I sleep like a baby, and then I wake up and I don't remember anything. But on the rare occasions, like I'll remember my dreams. Yeah, it's been more like they've been synchronistic dreams, and they've been very realistic deja vu. So a lot of people are trained, I think, nowadays to be just suspicious about deja vu and just dismiss it. But if you actually sit down and actually write out like these dream experiences, like it's just weird. It's funky, because like I think there is actually some sort of divine synchronization going on there that we're willfully choosing not to study quite so accurately. Well, if we choose to do self-study, that's the real issue, is because like we live in such an egoistic time period / culture, especially in the USA, is like we interpret everything through a strictly egoist lens, and I think that diverts a lot of self-reflection, introspection, etc. But that's where you can extract so much great information, is out of these, just case studies. You yourself are a case study, so I think you'd be doing yourself a favor if you take the opportunity to get into that divine frequency, I guess, that is the dream world.
Well, how does it change it that we live in such an individualistic society? Like, how does that change your interpretation of your dream than if you were in a more singularity or spiritually harmonized society?
It's about how you treat your own consciousness. I think that's the best way I would say it. If you live in an egoistic culture, you're constantly attached to that image of the self and what you are during your waking days, during your wakeful moments. And so if you're constantly caught up in that narrative instead of what we are collectively, if you're a more collectivist culture, theoretically that ego, well, at least gets dispersed a little bit. But
wait a second though, like the ego and the underlying nervous system in general is literally just an alarm system. Like it's there to alert you of problems. That's the purpose of the fucking thing. So if you spend too much time on the problem, like focusing on the problem detector, then of course you're going to be clouded with thoughts of problems. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's like a security system. It's like having an alarm system in your house. That's what a nervous system is. The fact that it can send messages out to muscles is a happy accident. The reason it exists was to send messages inward.
So yeah, but I mean, in one sense, I think we're collectively repressed in a lot of ways, and some of that might have been by design. But yeah, we like, if you open up the Bible, like if we decided to massively, return to religion, there's a lot of credence given to things like dreams or visions, like in the Bible. And I love Byung-Chul Han's work. I read he almost has like booklets, he has books, but they're tend to be like 40,000 words, so it's almost like they're booklets, but they're all phenomenal. He talks about the disappearance of rituals, for example, and the more you focus on what the function of rituals are, I think the more you realize how effective they can be at dissolving that ego. And the ego is just a very heavy thing to carry around all day, every day for, years, decades on end. And so the religious function actually might serve a function as to alleviate a lot of that, just squeezing of essentially what is your soul, I suppose. But yeah, the disappearance of rituals really goes deep into a lot of these other associated concepts. And if you are able to get to the point where you give more credence to things like dreams, yeah, the Bible has a bunch of references to dreams and shit like that.
I want to challenge that. I think that people still go through rituals, but they just don't. Like, I definitely agree with the effects of what you're saying, but I think the cause might be a little different. I think people still go through rituals. They're just not focused on what they were getting out of the ritual. And if they actually took the time, did it mindfully, and appreciated just taking the willpower to force themselves into the ritual, thanking themselves for doing the ritual afterward, and then trusting that they will continue to do the ritual in the future. For example, like brushing your teeth every morning. If you do that and you go through all three of those steps, then you're going to actually benefit from that ritual. If you just do it mindlessly and get the fuck out of your house every day, then you're not going to get a damn thing from it except a clean set of teeth. But if you actually focus on, I have the willpower to do this, I'm going to thank myself for doing this, and I'm going to trust myself.
I think even just like cleaning your teeth is a pretty cool. That's a big one too, though. Cleaning your teeth, like even just that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize the intention. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of intention. I think it's important, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I think tricking people into brushing their teeth every day is just as good as them thanking God that they have the opportunity to brush their teeth every morning. Right? As long as they're doing it, But
like having that appreciation for the God that allows you to do that and the willpower that you've got in your own heart to do that, like you've got to remember that not everybody has that energy, and you should be thankful for it.
Nobody does rituals properly. Really? Nobody? Wait, go ahead, Kurt.
So, I'm
going to talk about witchcraft and vaginal rice in a minute.
Awesome. No, I'm tapping back. I really question to what degree we have meaningful rituals or things that we would interpret as rituals. Like, what's our ritual? Getting up and going to work every day? It's like it's kind of a depressing ritual if you say, like, if we think that. And I think like if I have to look at my friends and see what rituals what we can quantify as daily rituals, it's like, well, take your kids to school, pick them up from school. Some people attend church services. So I think the whole thing about the rituals, quote unquote, that we have is like they're very meaningless and empty rituals, and I think that that is affecting.
Let them be meaningless and empty. They'll be meaningless and empty. But if you just take pride in doing them well, they won't be. Even getting your morning through correctly. Like, sometimes people are not good at doing their mornings. And if you focus on getting better at that, especially if you're bad at it, you'll feel pride in it and it won't be meaningless and empty. And in fact, it'll be an accomplishment that you can look back on and say, damn, that's a little part of myself I overcame. But again, if you just let it be meaningless and empty, that's all it's ever going to be to you. And then you're gonna have to
is,
put on a fucking costume and light something on fire to feel something.
I'm asking, like, what is the daily ritual of the American life besides brushing our teeth?
No. What is the appreciation of the daily ritual in American life? Should be the question.
Well,
you start to appreciate
what is
it,
the actual ritual?
Improve it, you will be proud of it.
I'm cutting right back to death, taking a holiday.
What is the ritual, though? What are we all doing collectively?
Get yourself to somewhere important and be clean and presentable. When
I think coffee. There. A lot of these, like, so as a non-coffee drinker, who's like my whole life not really liked coffee. I've always found the coffee ritual to be a very interesting ritual. People get up in the morning, they can't function without it.
Stimulants.
Oh, thank you for this coffee. Like, they get so grateful. Like, if you take coffee away for 20 minutes from one of these people, they are really grateful when they get it. Yeah, like, it hurts. And so it's interesting because yeah, and like, think about how many people live and die because of coffee. Like, think about how much of you could blame the world on the CIA if you want to.
Coffee's drugs. Coffee's the most acceptable drug on earth.
Coffee's probably worse than the CIA, honestly. Think about it.
It probably kills more people than cocaine, like in the trade, not in the actual effects.
8,000 people a year die of cardiac arrest from coffee, though. It does kill people. It's not good for you.
I'm just saying the trade and the wars and the fighting for the land and the farms for it.
Way worse,
right? Yeah. The product, and not for the consumption.
And reserve banking and commodities trading, and there's people in New York City who's
coffee, chocolate, and beer.
Women are leaving their husbands because they couldn't get coffee for 2 cents a kilo at the commodities trading market in Wall Street. Like, it's all over the world. People are suffering because of coffee in every corner of the earth. It's crazy, right? But that is a ritual.
People will kill each other for coffee. Period. The end. When people will not think anything wrong of it, but people will think that it's the devil that people kill each other over cocaine. People need to be more civil when it comes to coffee.
Yeah, and cocaine's chill. I don't know.
No, it's not.
I know. I just what am I supposed to say? I did do coca leaves when I was in Bolivia. No, I did do coca leaves in Bolivia. We're going to talk about sweaty sex rice
I have had the tea. Yeah, a friend of mine came back from Colombia with a box of it, and I told him you could be in jail for 10 years for having this fucking thing.
Well, I didn't do any. I'm not talking about like breaking the law. No, I was in. Yeah, good point. I was in California. I was like, wow, cocaine has got speed in it. I'm never going to do cocaine. I'm never going to do speed. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Go to Bolivia, and I'm 13,000 feet elevation. A bus is coming. And I try to cross the street a little too fast to get away from the bus, and I almost faint because it's so high elevation, like Nepal level, thin oxygen level, that I can't handle it. And I'm new here, right? And they're like telling me, dude, you got to take the coca tea. I'm like, no cocaine. They're like, it's not cocaine, it's coca tea. I'm like, Eventually, I'm like passing out, and they're giving me the tea, and I'm getting better. And I'm like, okay, there's obviously these people who've lived here for tens of thousands of years probably know something I don't know. And if you take the coca tea, it helps with the oxygenation of your blood, like the thinning of your blood or something like that. So yeah, for the next month or two, while completely legal, it's like the way of things in Bolivia, I continue to have coca tea, which they say it's like 1,000 leaves or something like that to one little bit of cocaine. It's a completely different thing. But this is an example where we're taught that nature is so dangerous and that really you should be taking some weird synthetic crap that is the alternative that will probably hurt you more than just doing what everyone's doing naturally. So I don't know. I say no to drugs.
That's because it's hard to explain to normal people what's going on there. It's the reason we go for the synthetic stuff is because you can measure it perfectly. You have no idea if one plant in a field has a mutation in it, it's going to kill somebody if you're just trying to process herbal medicine. And they sell it. It's just that you can't do it pharmaceutically.
I agree with Baguette, Bart. People don't need to do cocaine. You just need to watch Xirtus. But also sweaty rice. So we did talk about this for almost a second, but I was surprised that less people knew about this. I thought this was like a really common thing. So bear with me. You can cast spells through masturbating, at least according to those who believe that you can cast spells through masturbating. I did a sex magic ritual, and it actually changed my life, says Helen Muriel Thomas, 2020. Now, she's just kind of like a new, I don't know what you call Zoomers that are finding out about things today, but I didn't need to see it.
The sex magic is an excuse for people to get weird.
It's pretty weird, and so
you
one of the
magic and you can have sex. You don't have to mix the two things together. That's just a fucking.
Excuse. Andrew knew. Andrew, is Andrew at work right now? Andrew, we're talking about sweat rice. Do you ever have a girlfriend who did sweat rice for you?
Hold on, I can't hear shit.
You look great.
We can hear
you
you
look
just fine.
That's what my COVID mask looked like. I'm really stoked that you have it. That looks great.
Well, I'm surrounded by black mold right now, so
Oh Christ! Put that back on.
what
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of
want
rice
you-
are you talking about?
Yeah, you put that mask on. I'll just tell you. So you should know this more than other people. I feel like it's called sweat rice. I don't know why I think you would know this more than other people, but I think it is the way I learned about it was a Filipino girl. So maybe that's why I'm hoping you know. But what they do is you stand over rice as a woman will stand over rice as she's making it for her potential mate, right? It's a sort of way of merging their hormones and pheromones with the rice. And it's an ancient witchcraft tradition, but like when a hot girl makes you sweat rice, you know you're gonna fall in love with her. This is not something I invented myself. This is something that actually exists. A richly prepared meal of rice intended to tie a man into a romantic relationship. Women prepare the meal by cooking rice and squatting over the steaming pot, allowing the mixing of condensation and bodily juices to, quote, sweat into the rice. Now, most of you probably didn't need to hear about that. If you've never experienced it, you probably are safe. However, some of you are kind of younger, and women out there, this is the kind of things that they do. You got to be careful.
That definitely tracks. I've never dated an Asian before, so that's probably why.
Then you're safe.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
married to a
I don't
white
know.
woman.
I feel like a lot of white women are doing this these days, bro. Just so you know. Like, if you think white women aren't playing around with Wicca and sweat rice.
I had to teach my wife how to make rice.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
I got to get back to work. I just wanted to see what was up.
All right. Rice is cool. We love you, Andrew. It was good to see you. Next time, you're going to have to do, like, a tutorial where he shows us how to, like, deal with black mold. Because I think that's really nice.
I've dated a few Asian girls, having lived in New York for a while.
And how was their sweat rice? Did you enjoy it?
They did not make any sweat rice. In fact, they were some of the most conservative women that I've ever met in my life.
I don't see how that's related.
Nothing weird. None of them were into anything weird. The craziest shit we ever did was 69. And speaking of which, having done that at great length, I don't know why the sweat rice stresses me out so much, but it does.
Yeah, anytime witchcraft is involved and a woman's like controlling you through your feelings because you have less understanding or control of your feelings, especially young men, I think.
Oh,
are,
no, women can't
less
do
stoic.
that.
You don't think so? Right? Oh, yeah, no, of course. Sarcastic. No, I mean, that's what they do. That's the whole idea. That you're like, I don't understand these feelings. And she's like, ha, 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 go with that, right?
Sweat rice, though, like, wow. What? So... What was the fucking effect supposed to be? They're supposed to trap you into a relationship?
Yeah, like you're consuming like pheromones and like it like ties. It's basically like if you kiss somebody, sometimes there's like a exchange of hormones. This is like that, but way more. And before you've ever kissed the person, right? It's like they're all of their pheromones mixed.
Oh,
into
it's
rice.
like when I kiss a girl and I flex so that she feels my chest all swell up and shit, and that
if
she
you're
feels that way,
if you're Mediterranean, so that you're still sweaty enough that like you need. There's a
got
certain
that
amount.
Italian
Yeah,
leather.
there's something to that. I think that's real. I think this is freaking people out. Like they're like, oh my god, that's like a hippie chick and all that. But this is real. This is what I mean. This is a way that has existed not just from 20th century California. This goes back thousands of years.
I feel like you should be really, really like good at basic sex before you get into the weird shit. Maybe that's.
Well, this isn't sex. This is
just opinion.
You're making a meal for a man. You're connecting that meal to your own pheromones. This is
that seems weird.
6,000 years ago, I could see this happening. Like it makes complete sense that this would have evolved. That women are like, I'm making food for my potential mate, and I want him to like think of me the entire time.
Like if a woman told me she did that, I would be like, damn, you could have just put on some nice lingerie or something. Shit.
Yeah, because you're not from California. But like if you were from California, you'd have to be tolerant and be like, yeah, that's I appreciate this gift. Thank you.
Bro, that's totally fine. I thought it was just fluke or whatever fish live in our bay. Fluke live in Sheepshead Bay. I'm not sure if you have that in LA.
No.
Tastes like proper seasoning to me. I don't know. But
That's the thing. So, I mean, do you feel like? I mean, Parm says he's kind of afraid of. I was gonna say afraid of women. You didn't say that, but like afraid of witches maybe controlling your mind with magic. How do you feel about that? I like women that are magical and try to control.
I can tell when women are thinking
That's
they're
a type.
doing that. I entertain it, and then it's just like funny to me, you know.
Freak bird says K. No, wait, yeah, Kurt, what do you think? Do you think like, if a woman's super? I mean, aren't you flattered if a woman's doing that much magical spells to try to trap you? It's you kind of.
It's no, so it seems really trendy for people to be like in tarot and stuff nowadays. And well, I guess in a way, but it's the women that are sneakiest are the women that you don't know that they're actually doing it, you know? So I don't think sweat rice has been snuck into any of my meals as of yet, but I don't know. I think I've had a taste of women who are in astrology for the first time in the past year, but I don't know. I got the feeling that one of them might have wanted to entrap me, but she didn't. She just we just had our thing and then went about our own ways, which kind of also weirded me out. That weirded me out more than sweat rice, I guess. Just like the idea of I guess women wanting casual things. I don't know.
Chris, you know about sweat rice, right? Good to see you, Chris. Happy early birds.
Chris sweats a lot, so he's got to know.
Oh, you're muted still, Chris. I think your sound hasn't quite popped through yet.
He does martial arts.
That's why he's got to warm up.
There he is. I hear you now. I hear you. What's up, Chris? We're talking about sweat rice. Have you heard about sweat rice?
No, I just heard about women and astrology.
Yeah. So basically, sweat rice is where women want to entrap a lover, so they squat over the rice as they're making the rice, so that their hormones and pheromones are entrapped in the rice, so that the lover will fall in love with them after consuming the rice. It's a very ancient tradition.
Why don't you just take it a step further and harvest some discharge to use as for making bread? You know.
That's the thing too. Yeah, there's a yeast, but I think that's not really done with the rice. That's done with with breads and cheeses and things, which is not an Asian thing.
Do women not realize that it could be they could get attention a lot simpler? Like the last girl who had my attention for more than a couple of weeks, the way she did it on our first date, we went out playing pool, and when we were kissing, she grabbed my ass, and I really liked that. So we talked for a long time. But she didn't need to do this. Like, what the fuck?
No, see, that stuff is all fine and good. Like, it's fun, but the real entrapment games happen when you're living together. That's when you see some real scary shit, depending on who you're living with. Like, I remember I was living with this one girl, and she started making me take medications, and that's when I was like, wait, what the fuck are you why are you making me take these pills or something? And it's just weird.
Wait, were they medicated? Were they nutrient supplements that she got on some internet thing, and she wanted to make you both better people? Or was it I want you to take antidepressants? What was going on?
Gorilla fertility fucking food.
Yeah, maybe she's wanting you to have a hard dick, and she's giving you that horny goat weed or something, you know?
No, I think it's because she was having.
Did you hear about that? That was actually just Viagra. A guy just had a kilogram of Viagra in fucking California, and he was just spooning it out into fucking herbal supplements, and he went to jail for it.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's why that shit works so well, and that's why it don't work no more.
That's hilarious.
He just got it from Cambodia or some shit, in a fucking shipment.
Well, I think back then I was too young to get into this stuff, but I was she had abdominal issues, something with lower abdomen issues, and for a long time we thought it was because of me, maybe I was carrying some kind of sexual infection or whatever. I got
must
tested.
have been your fault, Chris. Yeah,
I got tested and all that stuff, so that wasn't the case. And then after we broke up and I lived alone, I started learning more about holistic medicine. And how there could be nothing wrong with you, no cancer cells or anything. But if your perspective or head is fucked up, it's going to mess up your body, especially if you're wrong. Yeah.
Well, I took oregano oil recently.
It can fuck your body up, but no. If your head is fucked up, that can fuck your body up.
I was saying you can't think
there can be nothing wrong with you if your head is right.
No, I was gonna say
I thought that's what you were saying.
No, you can't think your way into a better body, but you can think your way into a fucked up body for sure. 100%.
Yeah, that's true. I can totally stress myself out, and then all of a sudden my stomach just locks, and I can't eat anything all day if I'm stressed out. Yeah, I don't like that feeling.
I decided to do an oregano detox recently, and I would never recommend anyone do anything. You should just sit at home and do nothing all day long. But when I did it, this isn't me, but it felt like
I had to deal with one of those or something. It's a cyst, right?
So no, what happened was I had completely normal skin, and you guys didn't see it this week. I think too bad, but I started taking oregano, and I'm doing a 10-day thing. I got zits on my forehead. My elbows broke out.
Oh, it's because the Italian in it.
Yeah, and the oregano just shot out anything. I didn't think there was anything like too wrong with me, but like I feel amazing. Like I feel like my brain has been soaked out of anything like parasitic. I mean, I know that's such a hippie thing to say, but I feel amazing. And the first couple of days, it was like burning, and my head hurt a little bit, and I had acne in my elbows. It felt like everything was just draining out of my skin. And now I have like super smoother skin than I've had in like 10 years. And I think it's literally just because I'm not filled with parasites. I know that's the most
try a
hippie belief.
serious detox? You want to try a real serious, something that's going to change the way you feel? Get yourself I'm talking like a pound or two of dry roasted edamame, and you might want to mix it with enough cashews that it's palatable, because it's going to be like eating styrofoam. But it's it's abrasive enough that it's not going to hurt your intestines. Obviously, yeah, you're going to want the dry roasted one. Sea Point Farm is the one that I like. Make sure it's dry roasted though, not the soft ones.
And then what's
and
that
that's going to be abrasive enough to clean out any gunk that's stuck to the inside of your intestines. I'm talking about there's going to be stuff that's been stuck inside you, could be for over a year. This will clean out. Your intestines will be better able to absorb nutrients because there's nothing stuck to the inside of them. The stuff that comes out might smell rotten and dead, because it will be. You're going to want to get that out of you.
Yeah, oregano post.
Eat a lot of this for a couple of days straight, once or twice a month, to get that, pass it all through you. And you'll never want to stop, because you'll realize how much the stuff that you normally eat sticks to your insides more than you prefer it to.
Post
detox is real serious.
Post. I got these capsules because I didn't want to like taste oregano that hard. I was eating like 3 of them in the morning, 3 at night.
That's so anti-Italian of you, man.
Well, I mean, I eat a lot of garlic. I like spray garlic in my mouth. I'm pretty sure that's pretty Slavic and Italian.
Your heart's probably on point then.
Here's some garlic. And if you guys want some of my garlic, you know how I am. Go type Xirtus into the IQ Tink link. I love it. Now I taste like garlic. Don't kiss me.
You probably smell like fucking.
I'm about to get on a plane. I'm about to get on a plane. I feel so bad for the people that have to smell
like a handful of pennies right now.
But yeah, no, I feel actually pretty good, because the sauna, then I'll squirt out all of the sweat, and then I'll put like rose and geranium and lavender in the sauna oil, and then I'll just smell like, and then flowers like are jealous. So I don't know, I think I'm doing okay. But the point is, oregano treatment, and then also to clear out your gut, quinoa, or like you said, dry edamame, which seems like a cool thing. I don't know. Not that this is health advice. We're just telling you what we did.
No, I mean, that sounds. It's not health advice. It's just like try it, see how you feel.
Stuff what I did.
As long as you're not allergic to it, you'll be fine. Just
to me, that's not.
That abrasive mass cleans your intestines out. Like a full
you do want to get the garlic. You do want to get the garlic. I hate to be like that, because like retarded Andreas trying to sell stuff, but like honestly, my bro Dietmar in Austria, who's making this garlic, and we're gonna hook him up with Gilroy as like a source, because I live so close to the garlic place. This is it's got a little bit of this orange citric in it, and it's not like it's not like a normal oil. So if you put an oil on, it doesn't dissolve into the water. So this actually dissolves straight into your tongue. This is the best garlic.
Alcohol, isn't it?
It's got a citric.
Alcohol
pH.
is like something halfway between an oil and a carbohydrate. It's weird. It's very weird, actually, as far as chemicals.
There's a little something special about
and oils. Makes it really useful from like a supplement perspective.
There's a special way they do it where they it's living extraction too, so it separates in a.
They use a live piece of garlic instead of something that's sitting.
So it's super based. Like you gotta try it to understand
this stuff
why
isn't. It doesn't really sound anything like new to me, because like I mean, to me this is more of like the biohacking, like white people version of what like old school Chinese people.
Chinese medicine,
yeah,
absolutely.
They used to eat a bunch of.
What chemical are you looking for?
I'm all about that. I'm all about that Chinese medicine. Like I'm a big fan of it.
Just eat a bunch of herbs, do a lot of kung fu, sweat it out, and it's like the same shit.
The main problem I have with Chinese medicine is you don't want to eyeball that. Like so much of Chinese medicine, if you don't have like the way to measure it, a lot of this stuff is super potent. And you like, I used to take like just a bag full of Eleuthero, Siberian ginseng, which is like Lao Tzu always swore by.
Well,
but now I take like capsules, because if you take too much of it, you freak out. Like I used to be a chemistry set bouncing around like a ping pong machine, being like, I'm so sober, and my friends be like, dude, like, you can't eat like an ounce of Chinese medicine and call that sober.
I was gonna say the difference is the way the Asians do it, daily practice. It has to be a daily, gradual thing.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
you think you're so cool, don't you? You think you're so cool,
Think it's
Parm.
really cool. Yo, dude, that shit makes my pit stink like a fucking rank gorilla.
That's
It's
why you
wild.
need the oregano, because the oregano will outdo it. Also, the bio
Yeah, but then you
NAD.
take garlic
I'm a
on
big
top
fan.
of that, bro. Like, I've seen people eat garlic. I'm from New York. I've seen people eat garlic like that, and I
seen
can
them do
smell
it.
them a fucking block away.
Yeah, and
I
they're gonna
once
live
ate
a
a
long time.
clove of garlic, and I took a shower the next morning, and I could smell it in the steam. It was awful.
I'm a fan of that. At this point, I just like reek of garlic. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but I remember.
Doing that.
I remember this
Well,
one time I was
you
in
like
Peru. I
birds.
met a German girl, and the back of her head smelled like fried goat, and I was
Hot.
into it.
I love
so
it.
I just,
Love
you know
it.
what I mean?
That's
Like,
probably the only type of person who can take that shit.
Love
what are you
that.
gonna do? What are you gonna do? So this is the musical I'm about to go see.
Swallow a
and-
clove whole. Wait a second. We got a chat that said swallow a garlic clove whole. Who the fuck would do that? I mean, you can't
I'll do
even
it.
taste it. Chew
I'll
that
do
shit
it.
up.
I'll do
Chew
it. Now that
shit
you
with
said it,
fucking mesh.
I'll do it just because you said it. Post, I love you. Post is cool. Post makes me believe that British people are okay, not like
Oh,
ones
wow.
that want to save the queen or anything. Calm down, but
I mean,
like
how
the-
long can you save her? It's gonna go bad after a while.
dude, you know what British used to do before garlic is ginger. They would do a rectal suppository of ginger.
Hot,
Um,
spicy.
This is the
before you
morning
said
show.
that last part, I was about to be like, yeah, I'm really into that. And then rectal suppository, like,
Yeah, it seems like it would
I guess
burn.
you could
I wouldn't be.
kinda taste that. There are taste buds there, but still.
Puritans are
um,
weird. You shouldn't do it.
What's it called? Those green shots, by the way, that have ginger and all those nasty tastes in them. Those also have a value in like what we were saying before about rituals. Even if there's not a health benefit to something spicy and bitter every morning, if you have the willpower to go into that store and be like, hey, I'm going to pay you for a shot of something that tastes awful and I'm going to drink it with a straight face, you have the willpower to do that every single fucking day. And you'll have the willpower to do something you don't want to do when you need to do it. That's one of the benefits of ritual.
Well,
value that.
Yeah.
I gotta leave it like 15 minutes, so I want you guys to say everything you want to say. Let me just really quickly explain. I'm going to LA to see the Sancta Susana Menstrual Nun musical with the dwarves before I see it in Stuttgart, because apparently it's in LA. So Noel is taking me down to see it.
Only in LA.
Rather, I'm going with Noel so his wife isn't upset at him for seeing this play. But I think it's going to be worth it for him, and I'm excited.
Synchronicity.
That's
I was about to say.
referential, right? It's not literal.
Which
the
part?
title,
Sancta Susana?
the other, I guess the subtitle. It's
Oh, Stratford Stuttgart, you mean?
yeah, that's stage blood, right?
Yeah, no, there will be stage blood, but there will be stage blood, but the only part that is tied to titular is Stuttgart, because while I will go see it in Stuttgart today, I'm going to see it in Los Angeles. So I'm not going to see the Stuttgart version today, and I don't imagine that it'll be. I can't tell you which will be worse until I see it. But the Stuttgart version,
There's no
18
shame in bodily functions, but there's no pride in them either. Jesus Christ!
18
That's a good
people
one.
were-
I'm gonna steal that quote.
Yeah, it's very, very, very contemporaneous. The future, 18 people were hurt in the Stuttgart performance when a skateboard blasted out from a topless nun wearing pasties and hit the audience. So
Well,
that
actual
obviously, I really wish I was in that show and I missed it. But I hope
I really
to
wish
be
I
in the
saw
Splash
Spider-Man
Zone.
fall off the harness.
Oh
Yeah, that'd
no,
be cool.
that's like I'd be pissed. I'd be like, damn, I spent the money for the show and now it's gotta end.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, damn, I didn't pay enough to see that shit.
But yeah, that's all I got to say about Sancta Susana. Anything you want?
All right, well, Andreas, come to New York soon and hang out, and
Yeah, brother, man.
we'll have a grand old time.
East
That seems like the
Coast.
plan. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, you know, Sean's in New York. Chris, do you know Sean? Have you guys?
Yeah,
met each other?
we've been on a stream together. Just
Yeah.
you don't really like coming on at night, right?
I'm down.
Well, we should do an 8 p.m. But also I want to start doing. I'm trying to split it into Teen Titans East and West. So I want to have like the morning show. Like early birds is important to me, especially since I'm going to be up in the morning more often. So
Cool.
we should do double shows. But also, if you're in New York, I mean, we should all force. I should force my friends together because you guys. I mean, in New York, right? Like you guys have to. It's like a zombie movie. You have to defend yourselves against the rest of the city.
Dude,
Well,
no,
I think New York, like,
fuck
it seems to be like all the people who the transplants, they come here because they got spurned in their own city by their own cliques or their own like local scenes. So they're like, fuck you, I'm gonna move to New York. I'm gonna make cooler friends than you, and I'm gonna join a cooler scene. And that's how you get these like
Wow.
fucking maladjusted groups of like quasi political pseudo intellectual writers,
Yeah.
you know, and like dime
My
square and shit.
art is exactly like that.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
from
that-
New York, and I've
yeah.
actually haven't I'm nearby, but I haven't been back there in a while because I witnessed something really fucked up happen. Somebody got stabbed to death like a half a block away from me last time I was in Brooklyn, and honestly, I don't really feel like going back there. If you guys want to link up somewhere in the boroughs, yeah, I'll make a trip over there. It's within an hour of me, but maybe we should probably keep it somewhere further away from there.
I live in Staten Island, so it's
You're
like
joking, but I'm serious. Like,
Staten's nice.
Makes me feel a little uneasy going back there right now. Maybe after we get another Giuliani in office and he does the broken window policy, cleans it up.
Wow.
Yeah. Basically,
I like having Times
means,
Square, not the
that
Times
means
Square.
like start throwing homeless people in prison. You're just like, yo, you either get a job, get a house, or get the fuck out. You know, like that's the whole thing.
It's hard to explain to people what New York is like, though.
For that.
If you've never lived in New York, then you can't explain that to somebody. Like, hey, you got like rodents of unmentionable sizes, ROUSs. You have benches that are now anti-homeless so that you can't sleep on them. They're trying to make it so homeless can't live on the street level. There's way too much underground for there not to be a super city underground. Like during quarantine, the ultimate place to live in New York would have been underground. Think about it. And there's all these examples of
New York.
Dude, New York, you've got people in the Grand Central Station that had secret rooms and walls behind walls where they had little offices and apartments.
For the subway. He helped clear a couple of those out. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, way cool to live underground in New York during a time when it was like completely impossible to live above ground. It was you would be treated horribly to live above ground.
The most destructive thing I used to get into as a kid, like growing up here, was graffiti. And when you do graffiti, you do the stupid things like going from like station to station between the tunnels. And that shit is funny because, you know, like all my friends were like, wear extra socks, wear extra socks. I'm like, why? So I did it anyway. And then I think it was one time between like, I think it was like in downtown or midtown, I just had to take a shit really bad. And you know, they were like, see, that's why you wear two pairs of socks. Yeah.
That's a pretty New York story. That's the most New York story ever.
Yo, you could come through and have some New York Times with us, yeah. Maybe not graffiti, but we could do
the graffiti's fine. It's the socks that bother me.
You're not going in any tunnels if I'm coming around. I'm sorry, that's not safe.
We could go on bike rides in the park and all that.
I hate it when you're like in New York and you're like in a tunnel and you go around a corner and you see a dude giving another dude a blowjob and they look at you like you're ruining their day. You know what I mean? Like you're the problem. That's always.
What are you looking at?
It's like, what do you mean? Like, what do you do? Oh, fair enough. I'm in your tunnel. I get it.
Yeah. You didn't have to stop. You could have kept walking, buddy.
No, honestly, Andreas, if you did come, what you should do is book a venue, do like a reading, and then that'll be a cause to invite like a shit ton of people, like a reading or something like that. You know, do like just put a panel, you know, like get a mic and then address a crowd of people, like Alan Watts would or some shit.
New Yorkers.
Oh, that would be great, actually. Yeah.
And then we could take turns. You know, like
we could do it in a bookstore, we could do it in a park, or we could do
I got some venues for
bar.
that too.
I know a great bar to do it. Have you ever been to White Horse Tavern? Huge place for writers 100 years ago. Check it out. It's actually not too far from from Francis Tavern, which was huge for the founding fathers. Me and a girl did some unspeakable things in the bathroom in that place before we knew that it was historical.
So now it's even like more historical, which is like
White Horse Tavern is not the one I did that in. It was Francis Tavern, which is actually the one George Washington hung out in, which makes me feel a little bit ashamed, but not really.
No, I mean, like, you have any idea what George Washington was doing in that tavern? I'm telling you what, like
that's what I'm saying, man. Yeah. Like they did the same shit. They fought so that I could do that shit in that same fucking bar.
That's exactly right.
But White Horse Tavern was really cool because there was a lot of writers who hung out.
George Washington used to take his teeth out, put them on the mantle, and he would just go into that. You have no idea. It's pretty dark.
Yeah, he would make Martha go. So,
all right, let's do some closing statements because I got to get ready to go. Kurt, do you want to do a closing or do you want to wait to your closing?
Hey, first is worst. Let's go. Thank you all for coming out this morning. Great to see you. But great discussion today. Hope you guys are
great discussion to gay. It was a gay discussion. Gay and married discussion we had.
For some reason I'm always tempted to say too gay. I don't know why. But
too gay or not too gay. That's like it's barely a question, bro. Like you're that pretty.
Referencing our discussion, I think there was a reason I've been more attracted to Catholic girls lately. Well, not just like, know, baptized Catholic, they actually
they want to breed. It's great.
I mean,
Christian Mingle's got the biggest freaks, bro.
Get rid of them wasps. You don't want no Saxon Protestant when you can have a Catholic girl.
Well, the Catholic Church is the most in America, there's Protestants. Catholics are way more ritualistic. Like if you actually go in to
superstitious
the service.
girls.
Yeah. So it's like Italian Santeria. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
literally.
Like that you shall not pray to anybody but me, they say, and then all of a sudden, oh, Saint Anthony, I lost something. Please help me find it. That's fucking Buddhist.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting, but I think there's something there about if everybody is tied to the same thing, if everybody's tied to the same thing or doing the same ritual, it has that effect of essentially slowing down time, or at least slowing down time in our perception. It's like we only are capable of perceiving so many things. So like if we actually are all focused or commit or put our energies toward the same thing, there is a sense of relief that goes on inside our brains. So I'm not, that's the way I'm approaching, like the Catholic Church. Like, of course, I think God exists, but I think everything needs its context. But yeah, I like those ritualistic girls. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to use my closing statement to riff on that Catholic Church thing, because my view of the Catholic Church is you walk in and they got a statue of the guy nailed to the wall. Like, hey, you see what we do to guys who talk like that? That's what the Catholic Church is all about to me.
It's true.
Sweet.
You want that your only riff, Chris, or Sean, or did you want to go a little? Do you want to have a little more? That's all.
You gotta go to LA, bro. Don't miss your fucking flight or whatever.
Yeah. All right, Chris, what do you got?
I would say be grateful and try to align yourself in mind, body, and soul so they're not at war with each other. And that's it.
All right.
I like it.
Fair. Well, everybody, it's pretty cool that you're here. We're gonna do morning shows way more often because, like, I'm awake in the morning. It feels.
Oh, this is a new one. This is good.
It's like literally, it's like at 90 minutes old. See, now he's awake. Now he had his coffee. He can handle it. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Look at that pasty man. I love him. Dude, you ever see a ninja like that?
I love it.
Hugs and kisses. Hug life. Hug life, my friends.
Hug life. Yo, that should be the Xirtus shirt. Hug life.
You know, at one point, Andreas said the word discharge. I'm surprised we haven't censored that word.
I said discharge.